Welcome back. So within our non-proteobacteria, first we have our photosynthetic bacteria. This includes our purple and green photosynthetic bacteria and our cyanobacteria. These are very important in carrying out photosynthesis. They contribute to the production of sugars and the production of oxygen. Our cyanobacteria are able to also fix nitrogen, which is what we were talking about earlier, where the nitrogen in the air is unusable, so they convert it into a form that's more usable for animals and plants. Then Chlamydiae is its own little weird group. It is just a weird little guy. Chlamydia has a unique developmental cycle. I'm actually going to skip to the next slide to look at the picture while we talk about it. So chlamydia can exist as elementary bodies and as reticulate bodies. Elementary bodies are its infectious form. So as an elementary body, it's able here to infect the cell. It gets pulled into the cell, into a vacuole. But once it's inside that vacuole, it reorganizes itself into forming a reticulate body. The reticulate body is its reproductive form. So R for reticulate, R for reproductive. So then it's able to start reproducing. So now you have a lot of these bacteria here. Then, as you get a lot of reticulate bodies, some of those will start converting back to elementary bodies. They will lyse themselves from the cell, and now you have a lot of elementary bodies that will go on to infect more cells. So elementary bodies are infectious, reticulate bodies are reproductive. Within chlamydia is Chlamydia trachomatis, which can cause trachoma. If it infects the eye tract, trachoma is a type of blindness. It's also a very common sexually transmitted disease in the United States. It causes non-gonococcal urethritis. Basically means it infects the urethra, but non-gonococcal, it's not gonorrhea. In males, it shows up as urethritis, which can lead to a white discharge and burning urination. And in females, it can lead to cervicitis. It can infect the cervix and lead to pelvic inflammatory disease. Pelvic inflammatory disease is a very painful disease. It's also associated with infertility. And so it's very important to women who, some of your patients may want to be able to have children someday. So that's a very important thing to think about and discuss with them as they come to your clinic. Then Spirochetes. Spirochetes, isn't this such a beautiful picture of them? Spirochetes have that coiled morphology, but they are different from Spirilla. They do not have an external flagella. They have an axial filament or an internal flagella. We discussed an axial filament in chapter 4, so if you don't remember that, please go back and look either in the lecture videos or the PowerPoints or your textbook. Within Spirochetes is Borrelia, which causes Lyme disease. About half of Lyme disease infections give you this bullseye rash in this picture. Lyme disease is carried by deer ticks. So if you are going in the woods, you'll want to, protect yourself from ticks, cover yourself, wear long sleeves, long pants. It will cause flu-like symptoms. Leptospira can be carried in the urine of dogs, cats, and rats. And then Treponema pallidum, a beautiful name for syphilis, which is not a beautiful disease. So syphilis goes through 3 stages of infection. The first is a canker, or it causes skin ulceration. Modern day, this is treatable with antibiotics, so you rarely should see it go beyond that first stage. However, if that first stage is not treated, it can spread to a rash across the body. It's especially prevalent on the palms of the hands and soles of the feet. And if that isn't treated, it can progress on to become neurological and cardiac problems. It can form these gummas, which are little balls of inflammation that will be found on their skin and their bones and their liver. So if you think about back when we talked about antibiotics, the search for a magic bullet, salvarsan was a disease was an antibiotic that was created that offered salvation from syphilis. So that really was a big deal to be able to treat syphilis, because this can go on and progress to a very horrible disease. Okay, so be able to describe which gram-negative non-proteobacteria has a life cycle that includes different stages. What are those different stages? What does each stage do? and which non-proteobacteria are distinguished by an axial filament. And then just at the end of this, let's talk about archaea. Archaea are not bacteria, but they are prokaryotes. They do not have a nucleus. Archaea are divided into the extremophiles, which would include the extreme halophiles that require a lot of salt. They need at least 25% salt concentration to grow. And thermophiles that need temperatures above 80 degrees Celsius. That is almost boiling water temperatures. And the methanogens, which live in the intestines of a lot of organisms, very prominent in ruminants, but also in our own intestinal tract, and they produce methane. So what type of archaea would populate solar evaporating ponds? A solar evaporating pond is where ocean water is collected and the water is evaporated to be able to harvest salt. And then all of these bacteria that we've talked about is only the tip of the iceberg of the bacteria that actually exist. All the work that's been done, microbiology is still a very new science, and there's so much that we haven't even explored. A lot of bacteria haven't been cultured because we just haven't learned how to culture them yet. A lot of bacteria have complex food chains. Some require other bacteria to grow. There's so much we don't even know that we don't know yet. But it's very likely that in 1 gram of soil, that's a very tiny amount, there could be 10,000 different bacterial species. So this makes me excited for the future of this science. You know, if you're going into microbiology, what kinds of things could you explore? What kind of things could you discover? What will we know in 10 or 20 years that we don't know today? Okay, so that's it for this chapter. We still have some eukaryotes and some viruses to talk about in the next couple of days. And let me know if you have any questions. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.